Mikel Arteta, thank you for that one thing you did early on, but it's time to go. I give up, man. I'm full on Sutton at this point, and call me a placky after 32 years. Call me plastic. Call me, fat. Call me whatever you want. But at least there's one team on the rise, and there's one team, and they shall meet. They shall meet in League One in a couple of years, I think.
Jared. Unfortunately, it looks like we're not far off of that. It's been pretty shambolic for the first 3 weeks.
I mean, literally, and after 1 week, this can happen. You have a bad game, tough opponent, whatever. But after 2 weeks, even, but literally, and apparently Norwich is losing, so they're saving our ass right now. But literally, bottom of the table at the end of our game. No, there's no 21. There's no 21th team anymore.
There will be next year in the championship
in this division. We're bottom,
and deservedly so. And I know we look at the schedule and say, Chelsea and Man City are tough, but it's not about the opponents as much as we haven't looked like a good loss to a good team. We've looked like a team that should be sat bottom of the table. Yeah, I mean, I have on in the background here, Brighton and Everton, and watching the first 30 minutes, both of these teams handle us with ease right now. Yeah, and I don't even think it's close.
And look, when a team such as an Arsenal are missing four of our best players. And I mean, let's say, Gabriel, Ben White, Partey, Pepe, if healthy, would have been out there on the pitch today. Mm-hmm. We should still, suffering from those major losses on the pitch, we should still be as strong as a mid-table team, as a Newcastle, a Brighton, a Watford, like you were talking about. But, Man City's capable of, of a 4 or 5 goal win over a Premier League team on a number of occasions in a season. But those teams don't roll over and get fucked in the ass as willingly as this squad did today. I mean, they just don't. This looked like a League Cup game where they were really going for it, and we were Sheffield Wednesday or Northampton Town or something.
Yeah, it looked a lot like the midweek game where we were playing a basically 23 and under West Brom team. Like, there was that big of a gap in the talent level. But I think even this game wasn't even all the talent level as much as it was the effort level. There's just no intensity when you watch Arsenal play. Like the first 5-6 minutes when everybody said, we came out strong. When a Man City player got the ball to their feet, there was immediately an Arsenal player on them, pushing them back and making an effort. And as soon as they scored one goal, just nothing. It was like they just turned the switch off and just did nothing. Every time a Man City player had the ball, they could turn, survey everything under no pressure and do whatever they wanted. And, that's the kind of result you're going to get when you approach a game like that. And I think if we don't make some major changes, it's not going to be the last time we see it this year for sure.
No, not at all. Look, this is the open mic show. We're going to start with folks that are in the red room, ready to talk to us. You can go to GoonerOpenMic.com and join us if you would like. If for some reason you want to talk about the game today, look, you can talk about whatever you want. You can talk about beer. You can talk about what you did last week. This is an open mic show. We don't force the conversation to be about Arsenal, especially at a time like this. So we do have some comments in here, though. Avs Fan TV. This could be one of a handful of different people, but by far the best part of the morning is a picture of Magic doing some serious water skiing. That is not water skiing. I am riding a dolphin, my friends. So, don't water skiing is for chumps. Riding dolphins, when you roll like Magic Tragic Mike, Dolphins are your primary mode of transportation. So, oh man! All right, so let's get started. We're gonna go with Steven. You got to center yourself on camera. We're gonna start with Dean first. Dean, welcome back to the Gooners podcast.
How's it going, guys?
Wish it was under different circumstances, but how was your lovely morning?
Well, aside from the game, it's pretty shit too. So,
oh, good.
I woke up, found out the game was on Peacock, which I was like, oh, that's great. The coffee I was going to do was frozen. I was like, this is awesome. And then by the time I got up to the game and got on stream, it was already 1-0. So, all around kind of shit day. But
I mean, look, at least you're not in New Orleans right now. I mean, our friends down in New Orleans are literally leaving town during the Arsenal game. I mean, they're having the better day in the sense that they probably didn't have to watch that game. No, but all things considered, we really are thinking of our friends down in New Orleans. Sure. They're about to get hit with yet another awful storm.
No.
And we have a lot of friends down there, so we're really thinking about you guys today. But back to the misery that the rest of us are dealing with.
Yeah, so I've been pretty, trust the process. I've been saying for a while now, even before the quotes came out last week, where it's been, they finally said that this is a long-term process. We're looking, at a multi-year rebuild probably, which is what the summer window had been, showing anyway, that this was going to be a long-term thing. But even I feel hoodwinked and bamboozled after this game. This was just, it was inept at the finest. So, I'll give them one more. I'll give them Norwich. But if it looks like today, or if it looks like Brentford next week, against probably our pretty closely league rivals at this point, Norwich.
I mean, it's a massive 6-pointer. I mean, that game pretty much seals relegation for one of the two teams at this point.
That's what we're battling right now. It's we're at that point, and it's sad that it's this point.
Yeah, I mean that says it all. So, what would you? I mean, look, we are missing players. That is not to excuse the result. It's not even to excuse the choices of the players that started the game on the pitch. So, that's really where I want to go with you, Dean. Real quick, it's like those guys aren't available. So, who would you have started? And it's easy to say in hindsight once we know who had a bad game, which was everyone. But Arteta made the choice to go with the 11 on the pitch that he had. Does seem as though he changed the formation around, but with personnel that you might not have thought would be your first choice. So, when you woke up and saw that lineup, other than we're going to lose 5-0, what were you thinking?
Well, it was really early for me, so I think 6:30, kind of like Jared, and I just sat there and looked at it, and I was trying to figure it out for a while. I saw Tierney up high. I saw Kolasinac on the field, which, it didn't make sense. But, I know some have been wanting to switch up formation. And again, with the personnel we have, you kind of have to. I probably still would have played Sambi instead of Xhaka. We don't have a lot of options, which is a problem. But I don't even know if it's the personnel at this point. It's the players. This is almost Emery levels of the end where the dressing room just gives up. And I think we're close to that with Mikel. And again, I don't know how I got to this point. I think part of it could be some of the same core group of players in the locker room with the Shakas and Aubameyangs, people like that. So I don't know if they've just turned on him like they did Emery, but it's
Jared. How do we get here? Because I mean, I've been saying for months that the one thing that Arteta has in his favor is that there seems to be a clear alignment of the future of our team. Saka, Smith Rowe, Tierney, that core that you see still being hopefully on our team in 3 or 4 years seem to be aligned behind Mikel Arteta. That can't still be the case when this team is coming out and playing like this. Like maybe they want to be able to play his game, but there's a disconnect between what Arteta's trying to do and the players' understanding of that and their willingness and ability to carry it out. And at some point, the square peg into the round hole thing ends up not being, sexy at all like it sounds, and it starts just making players be like, "What are we doing?" I mean, Odegaard looked like he had just made the worst mistake of his life after the game.
Yeah, there really is. I think the key word there is there's a disconnect. Because I think the one thing Arteta, like you said, had going for him is all of our, the young guys really speak highly of him and view him in a positive light. And that, I think, has kind of saved him a little bit in the fans' eyes that, the likes of Tierney, Saka, Smith Rowe all love him as a manager. But, like him or not, something's got to be, there has to be a major change. And I said, going back to last year, I said, Arteta's not going anywhere at Christmas. He's not going anywhere this summer. I said he'll probably be the manager on Boxing Day this season. And I really haven't seen anything to make me think that's not the case. And it has nothing to do with the quality of play. It has to do with, I think, on a personal level, which this probably shouldn't matter, but I think it does. I think at the high level of the ownership, I think Arteta is just liked as a person. I think they like Mikel Arteta. And I think it's going to take a tremendous, we'd have to lose maybe 2 or 3 more in a row before I think they'd consider sacking him before around Christmas this year. Not that I think that's the right decision. I'm just telling you what I think is likely to happen, and I don't think he's going anywhere. And I think part of that is all the young guys on long contracts tend to like him and say they're happy with him. So, a push from Kolasinac to get him out, who cares? They're gonna, he's not a player we plan on having. It's not going to make any difference unless there was a push from some of those younger guys or a Tierney or a Saka, Smith Rowe. I don't think he's going anywhere anytime soon. Much to the dismay of me, you, Dean, probably everybody in the chat. I think we'd be hard pressed to find anybody that wants him to stay beyond international break, but I think it's almost a virtual certainty that he'll be here for Norwich.
Yeah, I think you could find people who still feel that he should be there, and look, I'm tipping over. I've got 1.5 feet over the cliff. I'm right where I basically was, but for a different reason than I was on Christmas Day last year, the day before Boxing Day, which is what I refer to Christmas as, the day before Boxing Day. And now we go into a 2-week period of time where all of the international players that we do have get to go with their successful international teammates and find out what it's like to win, which doesn't bode well. So, Dean, any last words? We're gonna and we'll put you back in the red room if you feel like sticking around and we come back around the other side, we'll bring you back on. But that's up to you. Any last words before we go over to Steven?
No. So just. We have a couple more days left of the transfer window. We have to have some more movement, right? So, we have a couple guys who still have to get out, maybe one more in. Defense is still in shambles. I'm not even convinced whenever we do get Gabriel and Ben White back, because I don't even know if they've trained together yet. So I think it's still some tough sledding ahead of us. So, we'll see where it goes, but I'll probably stick around for a while, and I appreciate you guys.
Hey, man, good to see you, Dean. And
thanks, Dean.
And in positive news, I am hearing that Norwich have a penalty, and if they score, if they score that, then they're level. So yeah, we will be 20th again. So yep. So yeah, we're 20th again, guys. All right, we're gonna go to someone who hasn't been on the open mic pod, but someone who's been extremely helpful with Gooners versus Cancer. Someone who I was fortunate enough to see in Orlando. And it seems as though there's a message he wants to share with us. Welcome to the Open Mic Podcast, Steven. We don't have Mike Hernandez on the pod, but we do have Steven Hernandez on the pod to make up for it. We have to have at least one at all times.
Morning, Steven.
Morning, guys.
Your clothes folding done?
That's how enthusiastic I am right now, is that I came home and did fucking laundry. This is just abysmal. This has got to be probably one of the worst starts to a season we've ever had, huh?
It's literally.
I believe it is.
Yeah. It is. Okay, so it's officially. So this man right here, you come into your room, you look at all your stuff, you have all these great memories, and you come in and you count your fucking bibs, and you're like, oh, I'm so excited. So they're gonna release another 4 jerseys for us to distract us from this.
Oh, that training gear that drops tomorrow is gonna be fire.
So I'm sure just like you guys, we have a lot of different group texts, and just the piss and vinegar, it's unreal. And one of my Indian Gooners, we have a fairly large Indian contingent here in Houston, and we have a group text with those guys. And one of my buddies, Silver, one of the best message I saw today, cracked me up. He said, Can we do the reverse Invincibles and be the Vincibles this season, right?
Oh yeah, Vincible. I think I tweeted one time when we were on a particularly bad run of form last year. Vincible AF. Like that's our new motto. None of this, Victoria, Concordia, Crescent stuff. Vincible AF. You're getting a lot of people who want you to burn that Arteta scarf live on air. Which, ironically, if it works out as well as the dude yesterday that burned his Ronaldo jersey, you will be the new cult hero of Arsenal fans everywhere. If you burn an Arteta scarf and then he goes off and rattles 49 undefeated in a row, dude, you will be sitting. You will have a statue made of you outside the.
I don't want that notoriety. This is rare for me. I don't like being in the front and center. I'd rather be behind the scenes usually. But we've been talking about coming on, and shout out to you guys again. I mean, everybody, if you still can donate for Gooners versus Cancer, get out there and throw a couple of anything you got helps. We're almost to that goal. Where are you at now?
We are literally. I don't know if we passed it this morning or not, but we are a couple dollars short of $15,000 when I woke up this morning. On our way to hopefully 25,000 and we'll talk about that in a bit. But for everyone who doesn't know, Steven has is one of the folks, much like Jared, much like Owen, and a handful of other people who have, Mike Hernandez as well, who have come to me and said, what can I do? How can I help? And it's a godsend because, it does. And I know we're switching gears a little bit, but it's because it's the one positive thing going on in Arsenal world right now. It's a lot of work to do a lot of the stuff that we do under Gooners versus Cancer. And I've never been good at delegating. So when people come to me and start grabbing things and saying, here's what I'll do Instagram, I'll donate, a lot of money and then help you, while we're in Orlando and spread the word in Houston. It means the world to me. So when I was excited when I saw you come in here because top man and like you started off your segment with Gooner till I die and despite the fact that I'm wearing another team's kit right now as a piss take, not complete piss take, but we're all Arsenal till we die, and that's.
It's not Arsenal till you die. It's or not Gooner till you die. It's Gooner until Arsenal kills you.
Exactly.
You might have heard this, but I was telling Jared before the show, I'm not in the best physical shape. Maybe I don't know if anyone's noticed that. And my family's always like, you got to do something. You got to go on a diet. You got to, please start taking care of yourself. We want you around. And I'm like, that's all well and good, but as long as Arsenal is shit like this, I mean, what point is there? I'm just kidding.
That's an early heart attack stroke. I mean, midweek was great. I mean, we get some positive stuff, but again, we're playing a team that's got 6 debutantes, and at least we know after that match we'll only be relegated for one season, right? I mean, we'll just pop right back up, right?
Well, as long as the teams in the championship start their B teams against us every week, then we can win. They basically made us look like we made West Brom look in midweek, right? I mean, it was inevitable. But from the start of the season, looking at the schedule, I mean, I think everybody kind of felt the same where, the season starts in week 4. Yeah, if we can pull something off against Brentford, but I mean, that whole game. Pull something off against Brentford. I mean, everyone was basically like 3 or 4 points, out of before the international break isn't great, but it'll do.
Right.
We're at 0 and looking like absolute chumps in doing that too. We didn't look this bad when we started off the season with 2 losses under Unai Emery. And I'm not comparing and contrasting coaches. I'm just 8-2, 6-0, 6-1, 4-0. I mean, let's not act like
still
we didn't
top 4, still in the top half. I mean,
well, okay, fine. Fine,
but it's what is there else to be said right now other than just trying to at least get a goal in the Prem and just keep moving forward? I mean, there's nothing else we can do at this point other than just keep taking it, and they're making it difficult for us. I mean, if things keep going the way they're going, I mean, it's just what coach replaces Arteta, right? Who wants this fucking job?
No, I mean, well,
that's
clearly Conte and Cruyff.
Conte's not coming.
I'm sure they all want this job because it's such a great job. It's the Arsenal. No one's coming.
So that's between a rock and a hard place, right? I mean,
I don't think
it's like
anyone.
Jared said. I mean, go ahead. Yeah,
no, go ahead.
Anyone? I was going to say it's like you said. I mean, if we get to, come Boxing Day, I mean, at best we'll be 12th, 13th, maybe. I just have little to no hope at this point, other than just being a glass half full kind of person. It's tough not to have that optimism about your team, but it's they're making it very difficult. But I don't want to take up too much more time, but we do have the Gooner Roundup in Houston, November the 5th to the 7th. We're monitoring all the COVID stuff, and we've been looking at blocking hotel rooms. So we'll have some more details.
Texas
soon.
Texas doesn't give a shit about any of that stuff. So, no, but that's good. And I keep preaching that the worse things get for Arsenal, the more you need to actually go and visit and hang out with other Arsenal supporters.
Yes,
like it's like there's an inverse thing. It's fun winning with friends, but the only way to handle losing is with friends.
Mm-hmm.
So, go to the pub, watch the games together. Gallows humor in a group is better than I think gallows humor in a group is better than being upset by yourself or even being a little happy by yourself. Like, I enjoyed that 6-0 game the other day, sitting in my office and watching it by myself. But there have been some moments where we've really had to just bend over and take it for an Arsenal. But I've been surrounded by a bunch of different people trying to make each other laugh and talking about Arsenal, where I end up feeling, more high about the club and stuff after that than I did after just sitting and watching a 6-0 win in a meaningless League Cup game. Well, not meaningless, but in an easy League Cup game. So Gooner Roundup, tell us what that is exactly. I mean, I know what it is.
So, for the last few years, all the clubs in Texas have been rotating an event similar to, say, Gooner Brawl, not quite at that scale, but so between us and Austin and Dallas and San Antonio and El Paso, Ponche, if you're watching, you're next year, not this year, next year. So
Ponche doesn't ever know. People tell him where to show up. They just put they put a beer on a table and he comes.
How do you catch a Ponche? You use a Heineken, right? You put a little trap with a stick and a box, and
you just put a Heineken at the end of the. Yeah, so if you haven't been to one of these things,
we get together, all the Texans, and then there's folks from around that come, from all parts. So we're looking forward for a decent turnout. Hopefully this COVID shit will kind of relax, but like we said, it's all about getting together. We'll be doing some, cancer funding. I don't know what other kind of charity stuff we'll be doing, but there'll be raffles and. Obviously, Mike, if you can make it, we'd love to have you, but I think maybe you're going to be across the pond, huh?
Yeah, I'm going to be on the tail end of my trip to London and then heading back to Missouri to visit my daughter straight from there. So I won't be able to make it this year, but I was there a couple years ago in Dallas and it was a great time. Yeah. Stephen, thank you again for all your help. Thanks for your positivity. And, we're not giving up, but that doesn't mean we have to like it. And that's kind of the situation we're in at this point. So.
We got to make our voices heard and, let them know. But I mean, clearly, that whole conversation is, it's getting stale, right? I mean, talking about ownership and things changing, but, hopefully we can climb out of this hole and they don't kill us first. So God bless.
All right.
Come on,
Take
Gunners.
care. Take care, buddy.
Peace.
Appreciate it. So let's start with some quote. Well, do we want to get to Arteta quotes, or do we want to talk about Granit Xhaka next? Because we're going to bring on Aston.
You know what? I love Aston. Let's let him decide which one he wants to jump into.
All right, Aston.
Hey guys,
Granit Xhaka or Arteta quotes, or are we gonna do we talk about Aaron Ramsey again?
I mean, I've talked about Granit Xhaka a lot, so we can always talk about Arteta quotes. I don't know, dudes. Whatever you guys want to do.
So here are here's post-game quotes, and there's 3 people that gave post-game quotes: Arteta, Guardiola, and shockingly, after a loss, Aubameyang. Really, really surprised, as a matter of fact, because it's been the knock on him that he only speaks after wins. So Pep Guardiola, he's beyond a good manager. We were sad when he left. He was barely holding his laughter while he said this. Sometimes people expected results immediately. The squad he played today, they had 6, 7, or 8 injured. Important players like Ben White, Thomas Partey. If they trust him, they'll do a good job at Arsenal. Yeah, okay. When you face the champions of Europe and the champions of England, it's not easy. I don't have any doubts. He is so strong. He will recover. He will analyze, and I'm sure he will be back on track. we kind of knew Pep was not going to bury. I mean, that was those are some sympathy quotes, and I'm sure he actually thinks that, but it's not incumbent on him to know how bad things are going on Arsenal, is it?
I mean, I don't think really, like, Pep and Arteta are buddies. You're not really going to get anything controversial out in the news. I actually think that Pep honestly does believe in Arteta. I do think that he really, really respects his opinion. I do think he's actually sincere. Pep doesn't strike me as the type of guy that makes up sincerity. Like, if he doesn't like you, he just doesn't talk about you, and he talks about Arteta a lot. So, but who cares? Like, who cares?
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean, if we were Tottenham, we would be making fun of them for having the Pep loves your coach trophy, and that gets us absolutely nothing. So, like Matthew says in the chat, pity quotes, and it's easy to pity us right now. And for those of us, all of us in the studio right now that we're watching here in the States, the constant theme, both from the commentators and the studio, was just shame and sorrow and pity for Arsenal fans and just incredulousness on what's going on. I mean, like, you don't hear that about any other club, but the mighty has fallen beyond the belief of most people who are educated and in tune to football. And it's just embarrassing that they're talking in terms of pity and sorrow and shame. And
I mean, you say that, but I do kind of want to throw out there, like, here's what's going on, right? Like, my head knows what's going on, understands what's going on, sees what's going on, but my heart obviously is going to react to everything that we're seeing. It's kind of like having a kid that's really, really, really shit at sports, play sports. And you're watching your child, and you know that he's bad. You know he's awful. You know how this is going to go. But you're yelling at the coach. You're saying the other team's cheating, and you know what's happening.
I don't know what that's like, actually.
Well, yeah, you only raise champions, so
whose coaches don't appreciate their capabilities, but
listen, Robin Van Persie had the same issue, buddy.
What's the only issue we have?
But that's what's going on. It's like, I understand what I'm seeing. I'm seeing the same team go out year again. I'm seeing the same players that we saw from last season. I'm seeing the same Kolasinac and Xhaka, and he gets another red. I've seen it all before. I understand what's happening. It's going to take some time. Listen, if we wanted, immediate results, we needed to spend $500 million. Did we do that? No. Okay, this is what we got. You know what I mean?
And this is what we got in our chat room right now. I'm only here for Lucy. That's I'll see if she wants to come on, but it is going to seem a little bit desperate and beggy of me to personally invite people onto the show. But Jared, you were about to say something.
Yeah, when you said when you watch the TV coverage and they basically are saying all the same things we're saying, and I think a lot of the time we're always critical of the TV coverage. It can be anti-Arsenal or kind of slanted against us. But the fact is, we're to the point now that they're not wrong when they say that the team's in shambles, we're in crisis mode. When you go 3 games in, you have 0 wins, 0 points, 0 goals. I mean, it's hard to find a positive there. The only silver lining is, we played Norwich coming out of the international break, but, at this point, that's not a rollover win like we would think it should be for, quote unquote, big teams, but we're in shambles and they're not wrong. And it's really disappointing that I'm not sure we're going to see any major changes between now and then, when I think it's definitely something that's necessary. I mean, we'll ask Aston. I know we talked about it right before you came on. What are your thoughts on Arteta? Do you think he's safe in his job? Do you think he's going to be here for a bit? Where do you think he falls?
I mean, it's one of those, like, does it really matter kind of situations? Because if Arteta goes and we go get Eddie Howe, we just cement our slip into mediocrity forever. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So are we going to get Steve Bruce to save our season? Like, what do we expect? What do we expect for a rebuild if we swap out Arteta? I'm not even interested in that. What I'm not interested in either is, we agree something needs to change, but are we going to get any players in from now to the transfer window? Probably not. So it's like,
would you spend more money on players for this coach, and then the next coach comes in and says, okay, well, I'm going with senior players now. I mean, like I have rarely seen something that is so broken. And I'm just talking in sports. I mean, like I've sat on wooden birdhouses that were less broken afterwards than this team is.
Well, you got to look at it this way too. You got to remember.
I have no idea what that means, but
I think it's like Socrates, Lichtsteiner, Guendouzi, Ozil, Kolasinac. I mean, like we have like a list of like just terrible transfers that we've got nothing out of. No bump in performance. No team leadership's got nothing. Absolutely black holes of deals that we're just making up for. And it's just like I get it. Like, well, while the team's getting rid of the rot, we're not going to be good. We're just not unless we're willing to make the investment, whether it be get a Conte in and then bang it, put up the budget that he's going to look for, put up the players he's going to look for, or get some other high end coach. That we're not going to make the investment. We've made the investment we're going to make for the year, and so
it literally seems like the only savior to this thing in the next couple of years is luck. Luck with health, luck with results, because you just keep changing things around, and you move this over there, and it just nothing works. Nothing even comes close to working.
Let me say it this way, though. Let me say it this way, and this is one thing we can be like kind of okay about. Gabriel looked great last year, right?
Mm-hmm.
This year, Tavares, right? Tierney got injured literally in the first game. We needed Tavares, right? We've actually we've seen Lukonga. Lukonga actually looks like a better player than all of us expected. So, and then Ben White, I actually think he's looked class. We're actually begging for him to be on the pitch right now. So at least I can say something's happening.
I don't doubt that the right things are being done. I think the things that are being done over the last 3 months are better than the things that were being done in the 3 months before that and the 3 months that were before that. But the results and the way that things are like, despite doing what seemed to be the right things, we get worse and worse and worse. And that's, I think, where my tipping point is with leadership. And, leadership on the pitch has always been the problem, but leadership off the pitch is vacant right now. And to circle back on Xhaka before we go over to Gary and who's waiting patiently, whether or not you think it was a red card, and I think by the book it's a red card. It's never called that way when it's anyone other than us doing it, though. But like
or Xhaka.
Or Jacques, yeah. I mean, Martin Atkinson actually took the yellow card out of his hand, was holding it, walking over. When he saw it was Xhaka, he put it back and got the red card. I mean, like, there was no other reason for him to have the yellow unless someone was talking into his ears, to have the yellow and then change it to a red on a straight red. Whatever you think of the foul, and we can talk about that. This is open mic. Getting a pat on the ass on the way out, and essentially a show of support from your coach, that might be the moment for me. The moment for me with Arsene Wenger was when it was, I think, too late, was just the team just not showing up against Swansea 4 days after shitting the bed against Manchester United and giving Rashford his brace on his debut, which was all within a month of that incredible Valentine's Day victory over Leicester City, where we all thought we were going to win the league in 2000 and whatever. The tipping point for me on Arteta, and it's taken a long time, I think, is patting Granit Xhaka on the ass after another red card.
I think that one man patting another man on the ass at any point should be your tipping point.
Look, normally that's a very exciting thing for me, but I'm sorry. The message that sends, and look, I read into things, so I'm reading into a man's hand touching another man's ass, and not from a touching standpoint, but from the symbolism of what that means is you know what? You gave it your best. You screwed our chances again, although we weren't going to win if you didn't do that. But you basically condemned us to a loss. I'm almost upset that we proceeded in the League Cup now, because had we not moved forward in the League Cup, then the third game of his suspension would have been the North London Derby. But like, to me, that just says there's no one, and I'm stealing this emotion and this point of view from the studio crew of NBC Sports. This isn't novel. This isn't me coming up with my own idea, but it's me agreeing vehemently that just shows a complete lack of discipline, leadership, consequence, or anything within the Arsenal squad.
Yeah, I completely take your point there. I think it's nice to want to lift your players up and be supportive of them in some situations, and Arteta certainly has that. But it can't be that 100% of the time. There has to be an expectation of understanding the game, understanding you can't make less tackles like that, and especially from one of the players who's in our leadership group, it's just completely unacceptable. If Arteta was going to have any contact with him coming off the pitch, he should have been grabbing him by the shirt and screaming in his face. Set a precedent of some kind that there's expectations you have to meet. And whether the manager likes you or not, or whether you like them, they have to be willing to get in somebody's face and let them know when they're not performing at the required level. And that's where I think Arteta is deficient as a manager. It's not in his ability, not in his people skills in general, or anything like that. Just being able to get in guys' faces and say, look, this is not acceptable. You do things like that, you're not playing. And set a standard of some kind. And I think also on just an effort level, there's a number of guys out there today who look like they were coasting for large parts of the game. That should be the baseline, should be maximum effort all the time. That should be the very baseline of getting on the pitch, let alone performing well. And I just don't even think we do that in a lot of cases. And that's the piece for me that's frustrating, because whether we're successful or not, or we're getting wins, I don't think there's anybody that could say that the players on the pitch right now aren't performing to their maximum. I think that should be universally accepted, just because we've seen them play better than this before. And if they're not performing at that level or willing to, it is a fault of them, but it's also a fault of the manager that should be addressed.
Yeah, and Arteta clearly wants to be in the Wenger style of being this intellectual, quiet leader who speaks behind the scenes and then just watches his concerto happen on the pitch. But Wenger, I wasn't tuned in. I was in my moratorium from Arsenal when Wenger took over, having in college, having little babies and stuff, and his. I don't know if he was ever any different, if he was more fiery on the side. I know he used to smoke on the sidelines, but not with Arsenal. But I don't know if he was more fiery, more in their faces and stuff, and then just gradually went to that. But I mean, Arteta doesn't have the right, the experience, or the team to conduct a orchestra out there. So sometimes you got to grab someone by the scruff of their neck and say, "You have just fucked us." And Granit Xhaka, whether or not you think that was a fair call or not, it was a dumb challenge. It was a risk. It paid off in the sense that he won the ball. He barely, if at all, made any contact. They called the red based on the sloppiness and the danger in the challenge, which again, we don't get red cards when someone elbows us in the face. We don't get red cards when someone stamps on the back of our leg. We don't get foul calls when someone puts their hand on their face and then they score a goal, and the other way around it goes. I mean, we could bitch until the cows come home. That wouldn't have changed the result, but it should change the reaction from the coach. And I cannot forgive, just as I cannot forgive someone strolling off the pitch after a red card or after a substitution when you're losing by a goal and you need to hurry up and get a goal, which is Xhaka against Palace. I cannot forgive a coach just rubber stamping publicly the actions of a fool who continues to make the same mistake and get into the same problem and gave himself the reputation that the referees have given him. Let's not be daft. The reason that Xhaka has that reputation and that Atkinson went and dropped the yellow in because in favor of the red is because of Granit Xhaka's history and his actions, and it shouldn't be treated that way, but it's his fault. So,
I know, and that's probably why we were trying our hardest to get rid of him and get replacements in. And I don't know what happened to that. I don't understand what goes on in the background. It just seems like Arsenal can never get the job done. But listen, guys,
what happened to that is we instead of giving Roma the extra $4 million, we gave it to Xhaka.
Yeah, and I don't understand that. I don't know who's in charge of that, who does that. I don't understand it. It seems to be some sort of issue that we've had for a long time, because if you look at it, we have the 8th highest wage bill in the world, and our team don't look like eighth in anything right now. You know what I mean? But I do want to kind of push back a little.
We're almost 8th in the bottom half of the table.
Yeah,
we're close to 8th.
Just a little, just because I do know that we're all upset, and it makes us want to lash out at things. I think if Mikel Arteta grabbed Xhaka by the shirt, everybody on every paper in the morning, it'd be like, Mikel Arteta completely loses dressing room. See how he goes at his players. This is why they
lose it that way, though.
Yeah, like this is why they have no confidence. Like there's no winning in the situation because there's no winning on the pitch, and that's what comes first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that ultimately, like I don't know, I don't know what to say. We have garbage players. We have garbage luck. I think the difference is what you're noticing is our first team isn't that great, so their backups are just god awful. Like god awful. Like Kolasinac shouldn't be anywhere near the pitch. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I don't understand that one at all. And let's get into that with Gary. Because that's just a bizarre. I actually wore my Kolasinac jersey during today because I'm like, I'm trying to just throw all the bad juju that I can at this, and somehow if this is the formula that causes us to win, but I think that is going to be the last time I ever wear, look at, touch that shirt that I bought on Michigan Avenue after the Charity Shield when I thought he was going to be the greatest steal of all time. So Aston, always good to see you.
Buy a Ronaldo United jersey with Ronaldo on it just to give them some juju.
I'm gonna. Yeah, I mean that is true. I should apologize to Sutton United, who finally got promoted into the football league for the first time ever. Then I bought a shirt. And they're probably going to be in Isthmian South Division 4 by Christmas. So, Captain, love you, man. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks,
and let's just hope this gets better and we have something more more encouraging to talk about in a couple weeks when we get off the bottom against Norwich.
Maybe.
All right, buddy. Take care.
Bye.
Gary. Now, people are asking whether that behind you, Jared, is a green screen. I'm seeing reflections of like cars driving by and stuff in that picture to the left of you, to the right of us. So that's not a green screen, right?
Not a green screen. I've got the Brighton Everton game on that side, so it's just TV moving across a little bit.
And that's not a green screen behind you either, too, right, Gary?
I wish I was at the stadium.
You do? Well,
you'd
be alone there, as you would be if you go against for our next home game, probably.
This is actually in this is when they played the New York Bulls for a preseason match. So
I might be able to see myself.
Yeah,
in there.
and it's Henri actually.
Oh, that was the other side.
And Henri had played, and so that was a good day.
That was a good day, but you know what else happened that day? We lost. We lost, and it wasn't the only time we've ever lost to the New York Red Bull. I think we lost to them at the Emirates Cup as well, or drew them or something. Like they won the cup. I don't remember how we did against them. I know we didn't beat them, but so Gary, I wasted a lot of tweets today, and had I gone to the pub, I would have wasted a trip there. But I mean, I got a couple things we could talk about, but what's on your mind first and foremost?
Well, I guess one is my dad asked me if the red card was the reason for their result. I wanted to lie so much. I said, yes, you know what? One of the players was running down the field. A bird ran into the Man City man's face. He went down. The referee saw it, threw a red. Boom, game over.
We actually have pictures of the bird that ran into his face.
But I told him the truth. I said, even if we had 14 players on the field, I think it would have been 5-0 because then City would have actually played football for 90 minutes. Today, like usual, we go up, they sit back and just let us, mess up basically and give them openings and take advantage of it. They didn't really have to work too hard, not too hard at all. So it
was a training match for them.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. Like City will beat a team 4-0 or 5-0, but rarely will it look as easy and as effortless as it did today. And I'm not talking about when, in the League Cup or in the group stages of the Champions League where they're playing Sturm Graz or whatever the, hell they're playing, but like that, it shouldn't be that easy. Now this has already been spoiled a little bit because I talked about it in a group and then Drew went out and tweeted it, but although he did give me credit, but in case you haven't seen it, Gary, do you know which player in Arsenal had by far the most possession today?
Well, I know that their goalkeeper had more than us, more than our players. So I knew that much, but
Bernd Leno. Bernd Leno had by far the most possession.
Goalkeepers had more possession than Arsenal.
Well, Ederson had the ball at his feet for 4% of the game. Bernd Leno had it for 3% of the game, but no Arsenal player had possession more than 2.6% of the game. And if you total every single player on the Arsenal team at 18% possession, just Ilkay Gundogan and Rodri together, just the two of them, had 4 minutes more possession than the entire Arsenal team. 82 to 18 or 81.2 to 18.8 for the whole game. Our previous worst possession for a game was 31%.
Yeah, this was a bad day. I mean, I you were talking about quotes and you were listening to the commentary. There were two quotes that they made which I thought was funny because I needed to laugh. First one was talking about Arsenal missing all these players, out of the starting lineup, the Gabriels, the Partes, White, and Bellerin got in that list as well.
I saw that.
Bellerin was in the list of players that we were missing today that would have probably helped. And I
didn't even notice it.
I don't believe he's allowed to play with Grealish on the field anymore. I think there's actually a rule. No more, please. Nobody wants to see that again.
Yeah. Did you guys see, to go along with all of Mike's stats on how poor the game was, did you see the shot total from today's game? Man City 25 to 1.
And the one was in the first 5 minutes of the game.
And it was not on target. One shot attempted, 0 on target.
We were just sad today. Also, you know what? Newsflash, Arsenal can't win the league. That's exactly what the commentator said today.
Yeah, it's over. I mean, I
think it's mathematically impossible.
We're officially eliminated. Two more losses, and we're out of the Champions League spots for sure. And I mean, if we win every game after that, we can't get there. Let's talk about Pepe because, on top of everything else this season, Pepe, who I don't know if he trained yesterday or did the walkthrough, whatever they want to call it. I've never seen so many world-class athletes at the peak of their conditioning in their early 20s fall ill on the day of a game more than at Arsenal. I mean, like I've been in the dressing room before, and I don't remember seeing like mold and asbestos just like creeping around and stuff. But there's got to be something, or they're serving laxatives for the dinner the night before or something like that. I mean, everything's fine. I mean, players who are not in the injury report on Thursday and Friday just routinely just show up ill, not COVID, apparently, but ill. Mm-hmm. And I mean, that people get sick. I understand that, but like, I don't get sick that often, and I'm in awful shape. Like, how do these guys get illnesses that are, I mean, unless they're hangovers, and they're just calling them illnesses. I mean, remember how often Ozil used to get sick suddenly? Yeah, and we know that was bullshit. It's been confirmed that was bullshit. So what's going on? What happened with Pepe today?
I think the condition is that we've seen this before, right? A player actually plays well.
Pepe might be pregnant.
And then as soon as
yeah, I
wouldn't. You know what?
Can you get pregnant from your team getting fucked in the ass every single week? Because if you can, then I think Pepe's pregnant. And I hope my kids, I hope my wife and son didn't hear that outside of my office door, but I can't help it anymore.
No, we've seen this before. Like I said, a player plays well, and then the next thing they're out. This time, it's illness. I hope he he recovers well if he is sick. But yeah, this.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, good. Thank you for that disclaimer. Because if he is, and I'm not even giving him a hard time about it, as I used to against Ozil, because it was so clear that there was no back injury. There was, I mean, maybe a little bit, but that it was bullshit. And the team always do this with injury. We know that they do this where they call an absence something different to try to quell the speculation about it. So if he's sick, then he's sick. But he didn't seem sick. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I mean, as much as Pepe's absence probably would have maybe helped. Maybe I think the players behind that back four really where the game was lost.
Pepe in instead of Chambers probably would have helped, or Kolasinac. So let's talk about Kolasinac, Jared. Given that you're from the city where I fell in love with Kolasinac, and I'm saying this because Christian in the chat is desperately trying to make me stop associating my trip to Chicago 5 years ago with Kolasinac, but I'm going to keep doing it. We clearly don't want him anymore. We have players who are capable of playing in front of him. Now, I don't know how Tavares plays on the left side of a 3 as opposed to as a left back in a 4, but I mean, how does Kolasinac make the pitch twice in a row when we are actively trying to cancel? I mean, is it we need to show Fenerbahce that he can actually play, or I mean, what is the point of that?
It is puzzling. I mean, I don't think rolling him out there to defend against Man City is going to do anything for his market value. I mean, that would be my first thought, is you're just sending the lamb out to slaughter. But yeah, when you're working this hard to get rid of him, I don't understand playing him. Even during the week, I was like, okay, it's, they're playing basically a under 23 team from West Brom, whatever, get him some minutes. That's fine. I don't understand.
He was still shit in that game. People think that he gave him like a 6 or a 7. I gave him a 3 for that game. He was awful.
He didn't really do much. But in the Prem, I didn't understand his involvement at all. I mean, if you were going to play a back 3, I think Tierney fills in the left side of that back 3 very well. He does it for Scotland. He's great in that spot. And I agree. I would have put Tavares out there in the left wing back spot and told Kolasinac to sit on the bench. I think even if Tavares right now isn't, he shows flashes. You can tell he's got talent, but he's really, really raw. It wouldn't have made any difference in today's game, obviously. But if the choice is to get him more experience against tough competition and develop a little bit versus play Kolasinac 90 minutes when he's on his way out the door, I'd certainly go with the former. So it was puzzling to see him out there. Didn't really have any impact on the game in any real way, but I just don't like the choice in general, because I think I'd much rather see Tavares get some time than Kolasinac out there.
I mean, the worst part about it is the 3 players that had to sit and watch that, right? Tavares, Mari, and Maitland-Niles could have actually played in this match, and it would have made more sense.
Well,
but they didn't even play. They don't even start. So, I mean, how in the world? You're talking about, we always talk about the mentality of a football player. Kolasinac wants out. He's actually saying, "Buy me out so I can just go, and I get 2 matches." Maitland-Niles. I haven't heard anything from him. Maybe they're keeping that quiet, and he can't get a game.
He did get subbed in today in the 70th minute when it was 4-0, and the first thought I had was, does anything else from a man management standpoint say you are a complete afterthought and a joke than bringing a guy on in the 70th minute when you're down 4-0 in a game that is so clearly lost that's where he is in the pecking order?
It's a good point. And it bothers me too that look how well he played in the left wing back role last year. That's what made people like Wolves want to come in and get him. If you're going to play a back 3 with Tierney as the left-sided center half, why not put Maitland-Niles back in that spot? He's proven he can play well there and has done so against Man City specifically. I don't understand the inclusion of Kolasinac over him in that regard either. If you're willing to put him out there for the last 12 minutes, just put him out there from the start, because he can actually have maybe a little bit of an impact. We're not going to win the game with him, but it may not look quite as embarrassing as it ended up being.
Yeah, we're going to bring Taylor in because I have a hard stop in about 4 minutes, so I want to make sure to bring Taylor in. Gary, love to you as always, man.
Thanks for having me on.
Tell us where we can find you because you're hosting a show, and I had a lot of laughs during the first episode. It was good.
Yeah, so I'm the host of the show, the Extra Time podcast on the Red Cannon. So it's Monday, 7:30 Eastern, 12:30 a.m. for those across the pond, late night for you. Otherwise, I'm on Arsenal Fan Circle Sundays and Thursdays, and then then you'll see me all around. Every once in a while, I pop up on this channel when I can get a call in or not. But yeah, you'll see me all over. But thank you for having me. Thanks, Jared. Thank you, Mike.
Always good stuff. Thank you, Gary. Appreciate
Thanks,
it.
Gary.
Yep. Okay, thank you.
All right, Taylor, you ready to come on? Taylor. Now,
Yo, guys.
Taylor, I don't know when you woke up, but the game started at 4:30 a.m. for you. I'm figuring maybe you woke up at 3:30. Did you go down to the pub?
Yeah, I woke up at 3:30. I was at the pub at 4:10. Doors were at 4:15. Had to hang up the flags.
Left at 5:10.
No, I was there. I was actually there for the start of the Everton game. I was talking to some of the Everton guys there, and it was weird because I feel like they sort of gave me their condolences.
Yeah. Well, we got that. We got that in Orlando. Because the place was crawling with Everton fans because it was because they actually showed up to the Florida Cup. And they were like, yeah, things are tough for you right now. By the way, do you mind taking Iwobi back? So Everton fans are cool. They're cool in my book, but yeah, I mean, you're getting the shame treatment, the pity treatment from them. That can't make you feel good.
They're nice guys. There's this one Crystal Palace fan who's been coming to the pub for years. And as I was leaving this morning, he was like, yo, Taylor, like, how's it going? And I was like, I mean, as good as it could be, right? And he goes,
think it's going?
welcome to my world. And I was like, oh, God, what is hhappening?
Yeah. The last 4 or 5 years, my son started playing. I've talked about him before. My son started playing on a team with a guy whose dad grew up. He was an England cricketer back in his day, and he's a strong West Ham fan. And we've gone back and forth, and it's usually like when that, as we've been descending, it's like, now how I feel. Now they're in Europe, they're second in the table. I blocked his number on my cell phone. Like, I don't want to hear it anymore. It is awful what's been going on. Taylor, I apologize. I really have a hard stop in a couple minutes. So one topic that you want to cover and get off your chest.
I more than anything, I think, wanted to say, like, as somebody who is a branch manager for one of the Arsenal America groups, it's been tough, like, it's been sad. I think some people that are new to the club, some people that are definitely, older followers that are just sort of speechless right now. And I think, that's because the only new fans coming to Arsenal are clearly like sadomasochists with the ball gag in their mouth, which is why they're speechless.
Yeah. I was going to say, do we have new fans? How would we get new fans right now? That seems mind-blowing.
So I was going to say, shame on you for anybody that goes with alphabetized following. Like if you go on FIFA, Arsenal Spurs, it's like, don't do that anymore. Don't be lazy. But yeah, I think a lot of us wanted Arteta to succeed, and unfortunately, I just, I don't think it's going to happen. It's tough.
I'm sort of resigning myself to that too, and
happy.
I'm as optimistic of an Arsenal fan as you'll find, and I've been very much, give Arteta a chance, give him time, but I'm sort of getting to where you are, where I'm just resigning myself to the fact that it looks like it's just not going to happen for him.
Like, God.
Yeah, I honestly,
on the wound.
I think, like I said, and this is how we're going to go out. And Taylor, again, thank you for joining us. Big ups to Arsenal LA. You guys rock. Get up early every single weekend, and you show up at like 11 a.m. for midweek games, as rare as those are these days. Thanks to everybody in the chat. Low key, Stan, good to see you. Danny, who wish would have shown your face and your naked shoulders as we've seen you before. Stefan, Raul, Vivek, everybody, don't let this ruin your weekend. Try not to let this ruin your weekend. If you want to take out your anger, take it out with charity. Go to goonersversuscancer.com. There's some amazing stuff to be won in the Gooner raffle. Goonersvcancer.com. We're going to finish off the podcast with a bit of a video that I've played before of some people you might know trying to help you learn how to donate to a really, really good cause. And I'm going to start off with the words I started out on, which is Mikel Arteta. Thank you for that one thing you did early on, but it's time to go.
Hey Gooners, this is Alan Smith.
This is Kevin Campbell.
Lee Dixon.
Colin Lewin.
This is Gary Lewin.
Charles Watts.
Dan Potts.
James Benge.
Danny.
Tom from the Gooner Talk here.
Ryan O'Castle.
Simon Collins. You may know me from the Evening Standard.
You may know me for my time at Arsenal.
You may know me from Arsenal or even the hybrid squad.
I'm a bird cat Wonderland.
Being that physio sat on the bench next to Arsene with my rubber gloves on.
The former Arsenal physio.
The Emirates press box, from writing, from Twitter.
From goal.com, from Twitter, from YouTube.
Football is the beautiful game and it brings us all together.
Sometimes there are things even more important than wins and losses.
And yes, even transfers.
Every 30 seconds, someone in this world gets diagnosed with blood cancer.
The Leukemia and Lymphoma Society works towards curing blood cancers
And provides support to families currently dealing with these diseases.
Gooners vs Cancer was started in 2017
by a lifelong Gooner who lost his father to leukemia way too young.
Over the last 5 years, Gooners v Cancer has raised over $50,000 for the Leukemia and Lymphoma Society.
And we need your help to match that in 2021.
Every donation helps.
Every donation helps.
Every donation helps.
Every donation helps.
No matter the size.
And every donation enters you into the Gooner raffle,
where you have a great chance to win amazing Arsenal prizes,
including game tickets, stadium tours, signed men and women's shirts,
and maybe a retro signed shirt by yours truly, Lee Dixon.
Me, yours truly.
Yours truly, Super Kev Campbell.
So much more.
It's easy to take part.
Just go to www.goonersvcancer.com
and donate directly to the charity.
Pick the raffle prizes you want to enter to win.
And wait for the drawings at the end of the campaign.
Again, that's www.goonersversuscancer.com.
We all know that victory grows out of harmony.
Victory grows out of harmony.
Victory grows out of harmony.
With your help, we'll be victorious against blood cancer once and for all.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.
Thank you for your support.